Colin Baker here, also known as Old Sixy, the Sixth Doctor. Well, that's my name for him anyway. And it's my very great pleasure to welcome you into the TARDIS. It has been my very great pleasure to play the Doctor. I'm one of hundreds now who've played it, but I got to do it way back in the 80s on television and on stage, and also in the wonderfully produced audio dramas made by Big Finish and licensed by the BBC, which brings you and me to what this podcast is all about. Doctor Who audio drama from Big Finish. This week, it's time for part 2 of the Destination Wars, starring David Bradley as the Doctor, with Claudia Grant as the Doctor's granddaughter Susan, Gemma Powell as Barbara, and Jamie Glover as Ian Chesterton. Now, if you missed part 1, feel free to go back and listen to it. But should you be in the mood to jump straight in, here's a recap for you. The TARDIS has landed on the world of Destination, the very literally named world where a human colony has been established. The colony's been here 2,003 years when the Doctor, Susan, Ian and Barbara arrive and are taken in by Warden Roback, his wife Tanner and daughter Rima. Where do they get all these names from? Revealing that they are travellers and explorers, Roback must inform the authorities in case the inventor wishes to meet them. The very same inventor who has returned to Destination to address the people and guide them on to the next step of their evolution. Roback decides that whilst the adults will go to the city, Susan and his daughter Rima will stay at home. With the city celebrating, the Doctor, upon seeing a statue depicting a great war victory against the indigenous population, the Dalmari, becomes curious about the identity of the inventor. With Roback off to inform the authorities of the travellers' presence, the Doctor sends Ian to collect Susan, whilst he and Barbara follow Tanner into the tunnels below the city, where they encounter a skirmish taking place against the Dalmari, who are present in great numbers. Back at the house, a service robot has come to collect Rima and Susan and Ian for an audience with the inventor. Upon arriving at the inventor's laboratory, Rima is sent to prepare food, whilst Ian and Susan are granted an audience. Susan instantly recognises the inventor and is subdued, whilst Ian falls under his influence. The inventor knows of the Doctor and also asserts that the Doctor is a malign criminal. He, the inventor, will take Ian and Barbara back to Earth. What is the cost of this altruistic gesture to be? Good question. I'll be back with you at the end of the episode with some extra content, so see you on the other side, as they say. In the meantime, here is part 2 of the Destination Wars. And the Master is revealed. But just what is his purpose in spinning the wheel of time forwards? And as the Sixth Doctor, I encountered the Master several times, and on some occasions his motivation was obscure to say the least, and could have been seen to be helpful, though in fact it very rarely was, except perhaps when it came to the Valiard. But that's, as they say, another story. So, before we started listening to the episode, I promised you some extra content. So, let's go behind the scenes with wonderful David Bradley as he steps into the Doctor's shoes. And he can step into any shoes he likes, and does so with great aplomb always.
It was something that's become very close to me, of course, in the last 4 years since I did An Adventure in Space and Time, and now the Doctor Who Christmas special coming up. I wasn't sure if there were existing episodes that had never been filmed, and as it turns out they're not, but they're brand new and fresh, and I can only imagine how wonderful they would look on if we also recorded them and filmed them, because and I should I've become aware in the last few years, meeting a lot of Doctor Who fans because of my lately found connection with the show, how many there are out there who are just absolutely love it, and I'm really delighted to have been a part of it and be part of a Doctor Who experience, and so when these scripts came in and I saw them, they're so wonderfully written and so vivid. I can almost see them as a film as we're recording them for audio.
Doctor, you and the inventor seem to know one another very well.
The inventor? Perhaps once, a very long time ago, he was a friend. We were pioneers among our people, fellow inventors. So much has happened since then.
Because I was a fan of the show originally, it was just fascinating for me finding out not only how the show was made, but as Mark Gatiss' wonderful script showed, it portrayed a very complicated man and didn't shy away from the complications. We got to see a lot of different aspects of William Hartnell as a man and as an actor. And as an actor, I admired him enormously, not only in Doctor Who, but in films like The Way Ahead and Brighton Rock and This Sporting Life, of course. And so he was one of those great British character actors, and it was an honour to play him. And I was relieved when I got the approval from his family, who visited the set, and it was fascinating filming kind of under the conditions that they worked in 50 years ago, and one could only admire the speed and dexterity at which they had to work with the technology available at the time and the space available, and the fact that there were, I mean, now we have the luxury of saying, I'm sorry, I've tripped upon the lines, can we just go back a couple of lines, as you can do either with audio or on film now. We have that luxury which they didn't have. So it just revisiting, as I did, those very first episodes and the original pilot, it just increased my admiration of not only Hartnell, but all the actors.
For audio adventures with the Doctor, podcasts, and much more, be sure to visit www.bigfinish.com. And so what will the Doctor do now? Now that he knows the Master is on destination? Find out next time as you come with me into the TARDIS. You've been listening to Into the TARDIS, hosted by me, Colin Baker, and produced by Ian Meadows. Supervising producer was Lizzie Worsdell, and executive producers are Nicholas Briggs and Jason Hay Gallery.